Grandmother had always been a vibrant presence in our lives. With her silver hair styled neatly in a bun and gentle wrinkles that told stories of laughter and love, she personified warmth. Every Sunday, her cozy little house would fill with the smell of chocolate chip cookies baking in the oven, drawing family members from near and far. But it wasn't just her delicious treats that made her home special. It was the stories she shared with us as we gathered around her kitchen table. If you enjoy this video, please like the video and subscribe for more, and tell me where you are watching from today. I always find it awesome to see where all my viewers are watching from. Let's get back to the video. Born in 1930, Grandmother had lived through many changes in the world. She grew up during the Great Depression, a time when food was scarce, and families struggled to make ends meet. Those early lessons taught her the importance of hard work and resilience. As a young girl, she would help her parents in their small garden, learning to grow vegetables to feed their family. Despite the challenges, she often spoke fondly of those days, highlighting how they forged strong bonds between loved ones. When World War II broke out, Grandmother was still a teenager. With a spirit full of hope, she joined other young women working at a local factory that made war supplies. She often reminisced about how proud she felt contributing to the war effort while waiting for letters from her brothers who served overseas. It was during this time that she learned to appreciate life's simple pleasures. A sunny day or the laughter of friends could make everything worthwhile. After the war concluded, Grandmother met Grandfather at a dance hall where music filled the air with joy. They married shortly after and started their own family together. Grandmother devoted herself to raising her children with love and care. As a mother, she was patient and nurturing, always encouraging us to follow our dreams. Her favorite saying was, "The sky's the limit," which inspired generations of us to believe in ourselves. As time passed, Grandmother became more than just a parent. She transformed into a matriarch who held our family together with grace and strength. She hosted holiday gatherings filled with laughter and joy, where we shared meals around an old oak table that had seen years of cherished memories. She knew every grandchild's birthday by heart and kept detailed scrapbooks filled with photos and little notes about our lives. But what truly radiated from Grandmother was her unwavering kindness. She volunteered at local shelters and knitting circles where she made blankets for those in need. She never sought praise for her actions. Instead, it brought her happiness simply to lend a hand or share a moment with someone feeling lonely or lost. Her home became a sanctuary for anyone going through tough times, a place where worries seemed lighter just by being near her warmth and love. With countless cups of tea and open ears, she listened to our problems without judgment or haste. However, beneath her calm exterior lay hints of nostalgia for days gone by. Occasionally, Grandmother would slip into moments of quiet reflection about people who had touched her life but were no longer around. Friends from childhood or family members long passed away. Her stories sometimes came with twinkling eyes filled with both joy and sadness. One rainy afternoon, as I sat beside her on the porch swing, listening to tales from when she was young, I noticed that faraway gaze again as it drifted toward an old trunk tucked away under the stairs inside the house. That trunk held countless treasures. Letters exchanged during wartime romances, photographs from family vacations long ago forgotten, and mementos collected over decades. It was within this context of love and memory that one day everything changed when Grandmother began cleaning out that trunk after so many years. The excitement sparked not only curiosity, but also anticipation about what hidden gems might resurface from its depths. A glimpse into Grandmother's past, awaiting discovery. Little did we know that amidst all those dusty keepsakes lay something extraordinary. A sealed letter addressed specifically to her from 1953. A year rich with meaning yet cloaked in mystery, waiting patiently until now to be uncovered. As we moved forward through this story together, discovering what awaited us within those aged pages, the excitement built each moment, pulling carelessly upon old strings of connection, reminding us all of how intertwined our pasts can be. And how magical it feels when they come back into our lives once again through fluttering words penned long ago, waiting just for grandmothers like hers. As the rain gently tapped against the window, Grandmother decided it was the perfect day to tackle the old trunk she had long neglected. For years, it sat quietly in the corner of her attic, covered with a soft layer of dust that seemed to shimmer in the golden light filtering through a small window. The trunk was a sturdy piece, made of dark wood with brass hinges that had tarnished over time. It was an heirloom passed down from her own grandmother, and it held countless memories and treasures from her life. With a sense of nostalgia and excitement bubbling inside her, Grandmother climbed the creaky wooden stairs to the attic. She felt like an explorer preparing for a great adventure as she reached for the latch on the trunk. With a little shove and the sound of hinges creaking, she opened it wide. What greeted her was a treasure trove of forgotten items. Yellowed photographs, frayed letters tied with faded ribbons, and trinkets from her youth. Each piece held a story, memories rushing back like a wave as she carefully sifted through them. There were pictures of her wedding day with Grandpa. Her heart swelled with joy at the sight of their young faces filled with love. She stumbled upon her children's hand-drawn cards from years ago, adorned with colorful doodles that made her chuckle. There were old postcards from family vacations and even some worn-out toys that had once brought laughter into their home. The deeper she dug into the trunk, the more memories floated to the surface like bubbles in a glass of soda. She smiled as she reminisced about each item, feeling connected to those moments in time. But there was still something magical about what lay hidden beneath all these memories. As she continued her search, Grandmother noticed an old cloth bag tucked away in one corner. It was small but intriguing, its fabric soft yet sturdy. Curiosity filled her heart as she gently pulled it out. Inside, she found an assortment of buttons, beads, and pieces of ribbon, remnants of crafting projects she had enjoyed long ago. But then something caught her eye, a glimpse of something different among all these familiar objects. She reached further into the trunk and felt her fingers brush against something smooth and sealed. With bated breath, she pulled out an envelope that looked as if it had come straight from another era. The envelope was yellowed with age, but still intact, its corners slightly curled as if they held secrets yearning to be revealed. Carefully flipping it over, Grandmother noticed a wax seal that hadn't been broken since it was first closed, an intricately stamped design that hinted at its importance. There was no indication of who had sent it or why it had been placed there among other keepsakes. Grandmother's heart raced with excitement as thoughts raced through her mind. What could be inside this letter? Who had written it? Was it from someone she knew? Perhaps it contained words of love or messages meant to comfort her during challenging times. The possibilities felt endless and thrilling. Sitting on the attic floor surrounded by decades of history, she traced her fingers over the smooth paper again and again, feeling the anticipation build within her chest, like fireworks waiting to explode in color and light. This moment felt special. This letter seemed like a bridge connecting her past to the present. For a brief second, she hesitated. Should she open it now or wait for family members to join her and share in this moment? But ultimately, curiosity won over caution. This discovery felt too personal to delay. With gentle hands trembling slightly from excitement, Grandmother picked at the edges where the wax seal held firm. As she broke the seal open, the crisp sound echoing softly in the quiet attic, she couldn't help but think about how this letter had been waiting patiently for all these years to bring its message forth into the light once again. She wondered about its journey. Who had penned these words so long ago? What did they want to say? Finally, freeing the letter from its envelope, Grandmother unfolded it slowly, revealing neat handwriting scrawled across the yellowed pages. A direct link back to 1953, waiting just for her. At that moment, the world outside faded away. Everything melted into insignificance compared to what lay before her. The air thrummed with possibility as each word promised connection, a piece of history meant solely for Grandmother's eyes, now ready to unveil its secrets. She could hardly contain herself as anticipation filled every fiber of her being. This letter might hold answers or memories long tucked away beneath layers of dust. Ready once more to breathe life into cherished stories that would once again resonate deep within her heart. As Grandmother gently unfolded the envelope, she marveled at its age. The once crisp paper had matured into a soft, golden hue, with delicate creases that hinted at the passage of time. It felt fragile yet sturdy in her hands, holding history within its fold. The corners were slightly curled, bearing witness to the years spent tucked away in the trunk, waiting for this very moment to be unveiled. Grandmother examined the envelope more closely and noticed that it was addressed in elegant handwriting. Every letter beautifully formed with a flourish that seemed to dance across the page. The ink had faded just a touch over the years, but still retained an air of sophistication. This was not just any letter. It had been crafted with care and intention, as though its words were waiting to convey something deeply significant. As her fingers traced the edge of the envelope, she paused at the center where a wax seal remained intact. It was an intricate design, embossed with a blooming rose encircled by delicate vines. The seal was deep crimson and still held a glossy sheen despite its age. She closed her eyes for a moment, imagining the person who had carefully pressed that seal down long ago, a romantic gesture that kept their words safe and sound. The line between curiosity and anticipation blurred as she contemplated all that this letter might hold within its contents. Grandmother wondered about the person who wrote it. What prompted them to capture their thoughts on paper? Was it a message of love or friendship? Had they known how meaningful this letter would become over time? With steadiness born from excitement dancing through her heart, she finally made the decision to break the seal. Slowly pushing aside her hesitation, Grandmother picked at its edges delicately until she felt it give way with a satisfying crackle. The sound resonated in her chest like a lighthouse beacon guiding her home through fog. When she opened the envelope wide enough to peer inside, another surprise awaited her. Nestled tightly within was not just one sheet of paper, but several, folded neatly as if they too contained whispers from decades past. Each crease represented layers of thought, carefully crafted and tucked away. Grandmother gently retrieved the first sheet, a folded piece with soft lines defining where it had been kept hidden for so long. She felt each corner as though tracing a map leading to lost landmarks from another life. Would its contents reveal secrets or stories she never knew? She glanced briefly back at the other sheets resting inside. The once intact collection now seeming alive with possibility before her eyes. Each piece called out silently for exploration. Holding that precious letter allowed recollections to flood back like waves on a beach. Memories of days gone by when communication meant more than simply tapping at screens or sending hurried texts. There was something special about taking pen to paper and pouring one's heart into written words. As Grandmother began unfolding each page one by one, magic sparkled in every inch surrounding her, while rays of possibility shone brightly against shadows cast by years of time overlooked. She couldn't shake feelings swirling around within. Whatever those pieces contained would surely strike chords resonating deep inside. Echoes reaching across decades filled with laughter and perhaps some poignant heartaches too. The faded words written across carefully chosen stationery spoke volumes without even being read aloud yet. Every word promised connection between hearts separated by miles and years, waiting patiently for families like hers to rediscover lost moments after resting beneath dust-covered keepsakes in attics filled overflowing treasures longing to be found again. In this single sealed letter from 1953 lay vast potential. Not merely inked lines upon parchment, but layers upon layers unfurling stories waiting anxiously beneath tinged nostalgia, pulled together intricately through time. Itself returning magic warming tired hearts once more. As grandmother held the letter in her hands, she couldn't help but think about the world in 1953. The year it was penned. It was a time filled with both hope and uncertainty. The aftermath of World War II had left nations trying to rebuild and heal from the scars of conflict. In the United States, life was beginning to flourish again as people sought to create a prosperous future. The economy was on the rise, and families were moving into new homes in suburbs, eager to embrace the American dream. In this decade, television became a central part of American life, with families gathering around their screens to watch shows that reflected the values and aspirations of society. Popular programs like I Love Lucy entertained audiences and brought laughter into living rooms across the country. The music scene was vibrant as rock and roll began to emerge, forever changing how young people express themselves. But amidst these societal changes, grandmother's personal life unfolded with its own unique stories. In 1953, she was a young woman in her 20s, full of dreams and ambitions. She had recently married grandfather after a whirlwind romance sparked at a dance hall. Their love story was one for the ages, filled with shared laughter, late-night conversations under starlit skies, and plans for a future together. That year marked a turning point in her life as she settled into her role as a loving wife. Grandmother often reminisced about how she spent her days cooking and tending to their small home while waiting for letters from friends who served overseas. The echoes of laughter from gatherings with family and friends filled their lives as they welcomed newcomers into their circle. But it was also a time of tension as the Cold War loomed large in the background, creating an atmosphere filled with anxiety and uncertainty. News about global affairs filled newspapers, warning of potential conflict between superpowers. The threat of nuclear weapons hung over society like a dark cloud, causing many to worry about what the future might hold. Yet despite these fears, communities rallied together, determined to support one another through these challenges. For grandmother, 1953 was not only significant because of world events, it held deeply personal memories that would shape her future. As she poured her heart into the letters she had found, she recalled how she balanced her responsibilities with her desires for independence, dreaming of pursuing further education or taking on creative projects that inspired her spirit. In that same year, she had begun to nurture friendships that would last a lifetime. These connections filled her heart with warmth as they supported each other through both joyous occasions and trials alike. The bonds formed during this era would serve as a foundation for many cherished memories that transcended time. Moreover, 1953 saw important milestones within the civil rights movement as activists began advocating for equality and justice for all. The seeds planted during this time would grow into a powerful force demanding change in future decades. Grandmother recognized the significance of these events even back then. Discussions about fairness and unity often echoed through her household as they contemplated what it meant to belong to a community. This rich tapestry of historical events, woven together during 1953, set the backdrop for the sealed letters she had discovered. Each word inscribed within its pages carried traces of those moments, both monumental and mundane, that shaped her life experiences until now. As grandmother prepared to read the letter inside, she felt an overwhelming sense of connection, not just with herself, but with others who lived through that pivotal year. Each turn of phrase represented hopes and dreams intertwined with larger currents, sweeping across a nation eager for growth, yet cautious of its past. The anticipation bubbled up within her. What revelations lay ahead? Would it unveil reflections on love shared amid global uncertainty? Perhaps it would speak of friendships forged in laughter or struggles faced alongside family members navigating changing times. Whatever awaited her within those pages held potential not only for personal insights, but also echoes resonating through history itself. In those moments before diving into the contents of the letter, a bridge linking present-day grandmother back to youthful aspirations, she embraced all that 1953 had meant. Resilience amidst adversity, hope blossoming against fears, the very essence captured perfectly beneath layers of dust waiting patiently for discovery once more. The moment had finally arrived. Grandmother sat quietly in the attic, a swirl of emotions dancing within her. It felt as though time stood still as she held the folded sheets of paper close to her heart, the warmth seeping into her palms. She took a deep breath, feeling her heart race with a blend of excitement and trepidation. What secrets lay within those pages? Would they bring joy or sorrow? Maybe both? With newfound determination, she focused on the delicate letter in her hands. The musty attic that once felt isolating now buzzed with the energy of anticipation. Memories of friends, family, and moments long since past seemed to envelop her, fueling her curiosity even more. She imagined the person who had penned these words, their thoughts captured carefully, waiting for her to uncover them. Grandmother brushed her thumb gently over the edges of the first page. Slightly crinkled from years of storage, yet still elegant. Each crease reminded her of how life weaves delicate stories together over time. She could almost feel the familiar presence of a loved one standing beside her, ready to share this intimate and cherished moment. With every second, the anticipation grew heavier, filling the air around her like a tangible force. The world outside faded away. There were no ticking clocks or muffled raindrops against the window. Only this moment existed in her mind. Taking another deep breath to quell her racing heart, she fought to keep her nerves steady. This was not just any letter. It carried with it echoes of history, emotions deeply buried under years of dust and memory. With careful hands, she placed the envelope flat on her lap, admiring the way the wax seal glimmered in the soft light streaming through the attic window. The rich crimson hue seemed to beacon her toward discovery. How many hopes and dreams had been locked away behind that seal? Grandmother remembered whispering secrets into letters she once sent with great care. Now it felt meaningful to be on the other side of that experience. As she took a small knife from her apron pocket, an old tool that had seen many meals prepared and shared, she hesitated for just a moment longer, soaking in the gravity of what she was about to do. With one gentle yet deliberate move, she slid the blade beneath the wax seal and sawed carefully through the fragile edges. The sound of cracking filled her ears, almost like a heartbeat echoing through time. Finally, breaking the seal felt monumental. It was like cracking open a time capsule that had patiently waited for this very day. She carefully lifted each side of the envelope, letting it fall back to reveal its treasures within. Her breath caught in her throat as anticipation bubbled up inside her again, like popping bubbles in a fizzy drink. What greeted her were several neatly folded sheets. Each one radiated an air of mystery, their edges tinged with yellow that spoke volumes about their journey through life. Knowing they held someone's thoughts made grandmother feel both privileged and anxious at once. Her heart raced at what these words might reveal. Grandmother fingered the first sheet as she took a moment to huddle deeper into herself, emotions swirling like leaves in autumn wind. What were those dreamy words that could reach across decades to touch her heart? As she unfolded it further, revealing elegant handwriting flowing gracefully across each line, she couldn't help but feel a connection arise. The delicate scent of aged paper mixed with dusty memories caught her senses off guard, transporting her to a different place and time, a moment when each word mattered deeply. As she gazed upon that first inked letter, an overwhelming sense of belonging washed over her. This letter would connect her past with present hopes and dreams, a bridge joining then and now. As emotions surged within her chest, a mix of nostalgia and joy, she unfolded more sheets slowly, giving herself time to absorb what was written without rushing through it all. She could sense that every line contained someone's laughter and tears echoing back through time. Every phrase told stories waiting patiently to weave themselves into the tapestry of her life. With each unfolding page, the weightiness of years melted away, leaving only wonder in its place. Grandmother felt as if she were not merely reading about another life. She was partaking in something significant, hidden softly beneath layers unexamined until now. Her heart brimmed with excitement and expectation, ready to dive deeper into these pages filled with purpose that spanned far beyond lifetimes lived and stories shared, hoping those words could fill missing pieces in lives formed beyond memory. This was just the beginning. Each sentence awaited discovery while promises lingered amidst folds of paper embodying possibilities long left unspoken until today. As grandmother unfolded the first sheet of paper, she felt a rush of emotions flood over her. The elegant handwriting flowed gracefully across the page, each letter carefully crafted with a sense of purpose. The words began to weave a narrative that felt both familiar and distant, like echoes from her own heart. The letter was addressed to her. "Dear grandmother's name," it began, immediately capturing her attention. Her breath caught in her throat as she realized this message was meant for her specifically. The writer was none other than her beloved friend, Margaret, who had been a constant companion through many of life's ups and downs during those formative years. Margaret's words spilled from the page like warm honey, filled with affection and heartfelt sentiments. She began by reminiscing about their friendship and how much joy grandmother had brought into her life. "You have always been my anchor in times of turmoil," she wrote, "and I treasure every moment we've shared together." As grandmother read those words, tears of joy welled in her eyes. She could almost hear Margaret's voice echoing them back to her. Then the letter took a more serious turn as Margaret expressed her thoughts on the world around them in 1953. She reflected on the challenges they faced, the lingering shadows of war, the uncertainty that hung in the air due to political tensions, but also highlighted the resilience of their friendship as a source of strength. "No matter what happens outside our doors," she wrote, "we must hold on to each other and cherish these moments we create together." Grandmother could practically see Margaret sitting at her own kitchen table while writing this letter, pouring out her heart and soul on those pages. The imagery painted vivid snapshots of afternoons spent laughing over cups of tea or late-night conversations filled with dreams and fears. Each memory served as a gentle reminder of how important connections are during turbulent times. As grandmother continued reading, she came across a passage that made her heart swell with pride. "I know you are destined for great things, dear friend. Your spirit is one of kindness and bravery that inspires everyone around you." Those words echoed profoundly within her. They were a reminder not only of Margaret's faith in her, but also of the dreams she had held close to her heart since childhood. There was something magical about this letter. It felt like a time capsule filled with encouragement and hope meant just for her. It captured not only memories, but also dreams unfulfilled. A nudge to pursue aspirations that may have been buried beneath layers of daily life. Grandmother's fingers trembled slightly as she turned to the next sheet, eager to soak up every detail. In this part of the letter, Margaret spoke about an upcoming gathering they had planned, a picnic at their favorite lake where they would celebrate friendship amidst nature's beauty. "Let's promise to never lose sight of each other," she wrote passionately. "We need one another now, more than ever." Reading those lines made grandmother smile through tears. It reminded her that life's simplest joys often provided comfort during difficult times. She envisioned that day by the lake, the sunlight sparkling on water, laughter ringing through trees like music, memories forever etched into both their hearts. As she finished reading through all the sheets, grandmother felt both fulfilled and nostalgic. A profound connection lingering in every word penned by Margaret's hand years ago. This letter wasn't merely ink on paper. It represented unwavering support between two friends navigating life together amid uncertainty. As grandmother folded the pages back up and placed them gently into the envelope again, her heart swelled with gratitude for having rediscovered such cherished sentiments from someone who knew her so well. It became clear how important it was to keep these connections alive, despite any distance or passage of time. This heartfelt message had transcended decades and found its way back into her life when she needed it most. A reminder that love knows no boundaries, not even age or distance. Reminding grandmother that friendships forged in moments filled with laughter would remain unbreakable no matter what lay ahead. Feeling rejuvenated by Margaret's words, grandmother realized there were stories waiting just below the surface, connections yet to be nurtured, and possibilities still ripe for exploration as she embraced this new chapter unfolding before her. As grandmother sat in the attic, the letter from Margaret still fresh in her mind, she found herself swept away by a wave of nostalgia. The words on the pages resonated deeply within her, sparking vivid memories of her youth. Each line brought to life the laughter, tears, and experiences that had shaped her into the person she was today. Thinking back to the early 1950s, grandmother remembered the sense of hope that filled the air after World War II. The country was healing, and so were its people. It was a time when friendships blossomed and love stories flourished against a backdrop of uncertainty. She recalled long afternoons spent with Margaret, sharing dreams and aspirations while sipping tea in the garden, the sun warming their faces as they planned for futures filled with possibilities. The letter reminded her of how they would often sit beneath the sprawling oak tree near the lake, its branches casting dappled shadows across the ground as they spoke about everything and nothing at all. Those moments felt sacred, a sanctuary where they could escape the worries of the world. Grandmother could almost hear Margaret's laughter ringing in her ears, a sound that brought comfort and joy. It was as if their youthful spirits were forever intertwined in those cherished memories. Margaret's words about being each other's anchor during turbulent times echoed through grandmother's mind. She thought back to moments when life felt heavy, a time when uncertainty loomed, especially with whispers of political tensions and fears of what lay ahead amidst the Cold War. Yet, through it all, their friendship had provided stability. They supported one another through challenges, ready to lend an ear or shoulder to cry on whenever needed. Such bonds were rare treasures, and she was grateful for each one. Grandmother also recalled significant events that marked those years, the community picnics they attended together where everyone gathered for food and laughter, children playing games while parents caught up with neighbors. Those gatherings fostered strong connections among families. It was a reminder that they were all in this together. Each shared meal brought stories to life, weaving a rich tapestry of experiences that she still held dear. The letter's mention of an upcoming picnic at their favorite lake sent a rush of warmth through her chest. It reminded her of that particular summer when they had organized a grand event with friends, complete with homemade sandwiches, freshly baked pies, and lots of laughter. Grandmother could still picture that day vividly. Sunlight dancing on the water as they shared stories under the blue sky, feeling like nothing could ever dampen their spirits. As she read more about Margaret's hopes for their future gatherings, Grandmother couldn't help but reflect on how those early friendships had influenced her later relationships as well. The bonds formed during that time served as a foundation for all she had built since then, a loving family marked by connection and support. Memories flooded back of cradling her own children in her arms while imparting lessons learned from Margaret about love and friendship. The letter also made Grandmother think about her dreams, those aspirations she had tucked away amid life's responsibilities over the years. Margaret's encouragement ignited a spark within her. She realized how easy it was to lose sight of one's own passions when focused on caring for others. It reminded her of late-night conversations where they would share big dreams, traveling the world or pursuing creative projects. But life had taken unexpected turns along the way. Yet here she was now, decades later, rediscovering those dreams through Margaret's heartfelt words. The message revealed not only fond memories, but also an invitation to rekindle lost aspirations. It was as if Margaret had reached across time to remind Grandmother that it wasn't too late to chase what brought her joy. In this moment of reflection, Grandmother felt gratitude wash over her. Gratitude for friendships like Margaret's that transcended time and distance. The letter had become more than just personal words. It was a testament to the power of connection and community in shaping lives. Finally placing the letter back into its envelope, Grandmother realized that this discovery was not merely an echo from her past, but also a pathway forward. Armed with newfound inspiration from Margaret's loving words, she felt ready to embrace new connections and adventures waiting just around the corner. With each memory rekindled within her heart, every shared laugh and tear. Grandmother knew she carried not only traces of the past, but also limitless potential for what lay ahead. She smiled softly to herself. The future sparkled brightly before her as friendships continued to weave together lives across generations. As Grandmother sat quietly with the letter in her hands, a gentle wave of emotion washed over her. Reading Margaret's words not only brought back treasured memories, but also sparked a profound reflection about her own life choices and family history. The impact of the letter was nothing short of transformative. The heartfelt sentiments expressed within those pages illuminated connections that had shaped her journey. It was as if Margaret's voice had traveled through time to remind her of the strength they shared during challenging times. Each line resonated within her heart, renewing her appreciation for the friendships that have held her up throughout the years. This rekindling of fond memories allowed Grandmother to recognize how much those relationships defined not just who she was, but who she aspired to be. With every word, she felt an emotional release, an acknowledgement of everything she had experienced since those carefree days under the oak tree. The struggles faced during moments when uncertainty loomed large were often softened by the unwavering support from friends like Margaret. This letter served as a reminder that even in difficult times, love and connection could prevail. Grandmother's perspective on her family's history shifted too. She had spent so much time focusing solely on the responsibilities of raising children and nurturing family ties that she occasionally overlooked the rich tapestry woven by friendships formed throughout her life. Margaret's words encouraged her to see these relationships as vital threads in that tapestry, ones that contributed significantly to the values she passed down to her children and grandchildren. As she considered this newfound understanding, Grandmother reflected on how these bonds permeated through generations. Her commitment to family was undoubtedly influenced by those early friendships, instilling in her a sense of community, love, and perseverance that carried forward into every decision made over the years. She realized that it wasn't just about creating lasting memories with family. It extended to embracing others who shared those experiences along the way. Moreover, reading Margaret's encouragement ignited a spark within Grandmother, a gentle nudge toward pursuing dreams that once thrived in their youth but had since faded under layers of everyday life. The words inspired her to think less about age or limitations and more about possibilities still waiting to be explored. It dawned on her that ambitions set aside could still hold meaning and relevance today. The renewed sense of purpose felt exhilarating as she contemplated new pursuits, whether it meant picking up a paintbrush again or perhaps planning gatherings with friends from various stages of life once more. Encouraged by Margaret's unwavering belief in their friendship, Grandmother found herself becoming more open to change, a chance to rekindle parts of herself long left dormant. Her heart swelled with gratitude, not just for Margaret's nurturing words, but for every individual who entered her life along this journey. Those who laughed with her, cried with her, and stood beside her during uncertain times. Each connection acted like stepping stones leading across rivers of doubt towards shores filled with hope and promise. With a smile breaking through tears in her eyes, Grandmother recognized this experience as an invitation. The opportunity to reconnect not only with herself, but also with old friends whose stories might benefit from renewed interaction. It ignited within her an excitement for shared experiences yet to come. Adventure awaited beyond familiar horizons, if only she dared step outside comfort zones established years ago. In this moment, Grandmother understood that embracing connections would continue shaping both individual choices and collective family heritage for generations ahead. She thought fondly about how meaningful conversations shaped lives, how they could inspire future generations through tales spun around kitchen tables or evenings spent sharing laughter under starlit skies. As she sat there, enveloped in warm thoughts stemming from a single letter, one that contained echoes from decades past, it became evident this was not merely an artifact from another time, but a beacon lighting pathways forward. With dreams rekindled and perspectives shifted toward relationship building anew, Grandmother felt invigorated by all possibilities surrounding each cherished connection, waiting patiently for rediscovery. Embracing those lessons learned now felt entirely liberating. Readying herself for endless adventures ahead, brimming with potential, filled each heartbeat. A thrilling reminder. New chapters would always unfold amid familiar stories where love transcended beyond time. And each page turned only promised deeper connections, yet realized within lives intertwined. After the whirlwind of emotions settled within Grandmother, she realized that the heartfelt letter from Margaret was not just a personal treasure. It was something meant to be shared with her family. The connections and lessons it held were too precious to keep to herself. With newfound energy, she decided that gathering everyone together would allow her to share this extraordinary discovery and spark meaningful conversations about their own memories and aspirations. The following Sunday, grandmother set up the dining table for a family dinner, her heart brimming with excitement. She meticulously arranged the familiar dishes, her classic roast chicken, creamy mashed potatoes, and a vibrant mixed vegetable medley. The scent of home-cooked food wafted through the air, setting the perfect backdrop for what she hoped would be an unforgettable evening. As family members began to arrive, laughter filled the room. Her children, grandchildren, and even a few close friends gathered around the table, sharing stories and catching up on each other's lives. Grandmother felt a warmth in her heart as she watched them interact. These connections were what mattered most. Once everyone settled in and plates were filled, grandmother cleared her throat gently to capture their attention. "I have something special to share with all of you today," she began, her voice quaking slightly with emotion. "While I was cleaning up in the attic last week, I found a letter from an old friend, Margaret, from 1953. Curiosity washed over the table as her children leaned in closer, eager to hear more. Grandmother's hands trembled slightly as she brought out the aged envelope. She carefully held it up for everyone to see, the wax seal still intact, the golden hue of the paper glistening under the warm light. "This letter holds memories from a time when I was just starting my journey in life. A time that shaped not only who I became, but also how I raised you all." Her granddaughter's eyes widened in wonder. "Can you read it to us?" she asked eagerly. With a shimmering smile, grandmother nodded and began reading Margaret's words aloud. As her voice filled the room, everyone listened intently, transported back to a different era. They could almost hear the echoing laughter of two young women finding strength in one another amid uncertainty. With each sentence spoken, grandmother noticed smiles breaking out among her family members. They exchanged glances filled with understanding as they absorbed the heartfelt sentiments. When she reached the part about their cherished picnics by the lake and how those moments had defined their friendship, her children began to share stories of their own gatherings, family barbecues at the park, or birthday parties overflowing with laughter. "I remember those summer days by the lake," her son remarked, his eyes sparkling with nostalgia. "We always had so much fun playing games," her daughter chimed in. "And we'd sit around telling stories just like this. It makes me think we should plan a picnic soon." The atmosphere shifted as discussions blossomed around the table about friendships, family bonds, and cherished moments that shaped their lives. Grandmother felt joy swell inside her. This was precisely what she hoped for. The letter bridging not only her past with present, but also inspiring reflections on their own relationships. As dinner progressed, grandmother reflected on how sharing Margaret's message helped bring everyone closer together. Each anecdote shared deepened their connections, while allowing them to appreciate how those same values of love and support had trickled through generations. In that spirit of unity, grandmother made a proposal. "What if we start a tradition? A day where we all gather each month to celebrate our friendships and share our dreams." The room erupted into enthusiastic agreement. Her family envisioned future gatherings filled with laughter, perhaps themed picnics by that same lake where she had once shared those precious moments with Margaret. They spoke about creating new memories while honoring those from generations past. As dessert was served, grandmother's famous apple pie, the conversation turned toward personal aspirations, inspired by Margaret's words. Her grandson admitted he had long dreamed of pursuing music, but hadn't found the courage to share his talent. Others voiced similar ambitions that had been tucked away due to life's responsibilities. "Let's promise to support one another in chasing our dreams," Grandmother said firmly. The agreement hung in the air like an unbreakable bond, solidifying their commitment not just to each other, but also to nurturing their individual paths moving forward. By the time everyone left that evening, Grandmother felt alive with purpose and gratitude. The letter from Margaret had ignited important conversations about connection and aspirations within her family. A reminder that love woven through relationships could continue fostering growth even amidst life's challenges. As she tidied up after dinner, she couldn't help but smile at how one discovery had transformed into something so beautifully expansive. New traditions being born from cherished memories. It reinforced within her that sharing connections would always hold power. Weaving together lives across generations would only deepen bonds made stronger through laughter shared around kitchen tables. As the evening came to a gentle close, Grandmother reflected on the multitude of emotions that had unfolded over dinner. A single letter from 1953 had breathed life into stories untold and memories long cherished. The letter not only connected her to Margaret, but also resonated with everyone at the table, becoming a bridge that linked generations through shared experiences and love. Sitting in the warmth of her home, Grandmother realized how powerful the message truly was. It was a reminder that love, memories, and relationships were the cornerstones of their lives. The laughter echoing around the dining table was proof that connections nurtured over time could withstand the trials of life. Just as Margaret had shared her honest thoughts and encouragement decades ago, Grandmother felt compelled to carry that same spirit forward for her family. In sharing the letter, she had gifted her family an opportunity to explore their own aspirations and struggles, igniting conversations that spun vibrant threads, connecting their past with the present. It was as if everyone had been waiting for this moment, to recognize the bonds woven between them and the legacies they could create together going forward. Grandmother could see younger generations embracing lessons learned not just from her life, but also from Margaret's words shared so many years ago. The prospect of establishing new traditions thrilled her. As they spoke about picnics and gatherings, laughter intertwined with dreams, each family member contributing to the evolving story that would continue weaving through time. All at once, it dawned on Grandmother how vital it was not only to cherish memories, but also to actively create new ones together, building a tapestry rich with love and unity. Every shared meal became a celebration. Every conversation, a reinforcement of values passed down through time. Values rooted in friendship, support, and resilience. The enthusiasm in the room made it clear that their commitment to celebrate those connections would nourish them all for years to come. Grandmother remembered Margaret's warmth as she spoke. It filled her heart with a contentment she hadn't experienced in such depth for quite some time. Margaret's timeless messages echoed within her, reminding all gathered that there was no better way to embrace life than through actively engaging with one another. In those moments of reflection, Grandmother understood that lives are intertwined like threads in fabric, where every interaction becomes part of a greater whole. Each person at the table held stories of joy, heartache, and triumph, each wearing those experiences proudly like badges that shaped who they were. With renewed energy coursing through her veins, Grandmother vowed to cherish not only what had been revealed through Margaret's letter, but also what could be discovered in the future with each shared gathering or heartfelt conversation. She envisioned creating space for her family to flourish, to chase dreams, nurture ambitions, and redefine what connections meant across generations. As she surveyed the faces of her loved ones, illuminated by soft candlelight and surrounded by delectable remnants of their feast, she felt elated knowing those connections would carry memories forward into countless tomorrows. Love would knit them together through challenges faced in times ahead, while joyfully celebrating victories reclaimed along the journey. In the days that followed, grandmother began planning additional family gatherings, an intention fueled by the letters, revelations, and discussions held around that cherished table. She thought about how these meetings could deepen understanding and care among all family members, while enabling them to recognize old friendships. Taking one final glance at that sealed letter resting safely back in its envelope on her desk, a tangible reminder of what sparked this journey, she smiled inwardly, knowing it represented more than just words. It embodied hope, connection, and love, permeating throughout lives shared across time. Ultimately, grandmother found meaning beyond herself within Margaret's words. The power derived from storytelling woven among generations, promised opportunities, yet unrealized, waiting patiently, beckoning first steps taken towards renewal. Each page turned revealed another opportunity worth exploring. Every bond forged endured eternally. Stories waiting to unfold, even as they reminisced together about reliving past joys. In this tapestry of love and legacy being crafted anew, grandmother understood clearly. True richness lay not only in experiences shared, but rather in the profound connections created along life's winding path, eternal echoes resounding like ripples through generations, drawn close by cherished bonds that could never fade.